Alright, Shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Alright, Hebrews, what inspired me to make this video? I know I made a little video on a little while, and shalom to the Israelite Brotherhood family. Alright, what inspired me to make this video, man, is that we got to be vigilant, man, and on the watch out, especially for Israelites that don't know heritage, because Israelites that don't know heritage, men promote all kind of doctrines, man, and them doctrines don't be true, man. It just be some stuff, man, that they done heard, but I know for sure this individual been reading my history and so forth, and understand exactly what I'm doing and my purpose, and what they trying to do is be slick. Israelites be slick, but this person might not even be an Israelite. But then after analyzing they little page and so forth, and then they supporting Jesus and Yawashi and all that stuff, then I'll go on and give them the benefit of the doubt, is that they don't know. But you got to watch out, Israelites. We got to be real vigilant. I'm talking about real vigilant, men, about Israelites trying to make the Sephardists into Israelites, and then suffered the transatlantic trade, and then suffered the curses. Now, Ashkenazi, man, if this ain't a knock on the door for the Ashkenazi community, and how this might slide in up under y'all. We Israelites want to get free. We don't care who free us. We want to be free. And the opportunity for Ashkenazi to free us is there. But it's developing, because the Sephardists ain't dumb now. They ain't dumb, and they understand what's going on in the world, especially in the Israelite community. It's how that they trying to slick attach themselves to the transatlantic slave trade, because they know we waking up and that we gonna come into heritage, and they know the Israelite Brotherhood got the correct history for the whole Israelite community. Without question, that I show you what happened to us. That's by the grace of Almighty Yah. That's happening. But the Sephardists are Amorites, and they tricked us in the book of Joshua. I done showed this how the Gabonites got in and tricked us. And then we know that the Sephardists are originally Amorites from Sepharvaim. Man, that's where you get the whole capitalist Babylonian system from, and that they founded America. We understand real easily, us Israelites that understand the Israelite Brotherhood history, is how those folks was placed in Spain. Man, I mean, not placed in Spain, but how they went to Spain after the Edomite temple was destroyed. When the Romans destroyed the Edomite temple in 70 AD, how them Edomite Sephardims took off, men, across North Africa and went to Spain. Spain and Portugal. They even wrote to the Khazars. And they were surprised that it was a Jewish nation. You know what I'm saying? Men around the Black Sea. The Khazars territory, went from Ukraine all the way, so forth. But anyway, the Sephardists, the Sephardims, they got pigmentation. And they went to Spain. In 78, they been going to Spain. Spain been their spot, because they are part of the Phoenician clique that did trade all around the Mesopotamian, area and so forth, and been doing it, and they even went to far off lands and so forth. But what we Israelites gonna have to be real vigilant. We ain't letting nobody in. We ain't letting no Sephardists. We ain't letting the Sephardists in. We ain't letting them in. And that's by a decree from the Israelite Brotherhood. They cannot come in. Alright, how about Ashkenazi? If y'all listening, which I know you is, the Sephardists would love to attach themselves, because they know the branch of them, the Sephardim, got pigmentation. And that, yes, they got kicked out of Spain and suffered some difficulties and so forth. But I explained in other videos how this basically a proxy war between, Ashkenazi and the Sephardi groups, when they use the religions that they created to get the job done instead of going head up and so forth. Well, the Catholic Church, Christianity did back Ashkenazi because we know in Christian held lands how they portray the creator and the peoples of the Bible and so forth. So we understand that, but how that the Ashkenazi through the Catholic Church, man, kicked them folks up out of there, and they done went to a little few spots, and then they went to them spots freely after they got kicked out of Spain, and ain't nobody drove them over there with no chains and no ropes on their neck, and then how they done picked crops and been slaves for 400 years, dogged out, identity stripped and so forth, and how this individual showing them with fringes and all of those stuff. I explained how, the folks, the natives had fringes over here in America, because they use fringes as part of their culture to get the water off their clothes. But how, the unknowing Israelite that really don't know heritage and believe in demigods, they gon', think that the fringes is just something just the Israelites wore and so forth. And then they gonna think that everybody that got pigmentation, regardless, everywhere is an Israelite. And now, if this person say that the folks, the Sephardi's men is Israelites, and then they all in Cape Verde and all them other spots, and then he gonna easily say that the folks in India men is Israelites. And man, I done explain this over and over and over. See, Israelites be trying to be slick, and they be slick, want to undermine the truth. They love to undermine the truth and twist it around, man, to fit what they have already. You know what I'm saying? You see, they ain't gonna abandon the small ship and get on the big ship where some safety at, where the truth at, and how they tread in the water without no life reserve or nothing, just out in the ocean, just out there. You know what I'm saying? With no purpose is how a whole bunch of Israelites is. They trying to find their way to shore, but man, they lost, and they fighting against the current that's trying to take them there. You know what I'm saying? And then the Israelites, man, believe that anybody with some pigmentation claiming the Israelite heritage is an Israelite. And then that they been scratched, man, they'll swear up and down that they done suffered the curses and so forth. And then that's false. And then how we're going to be real vigilant. And then this should be a calling to Ashkenazi to wake up and quit playing games with this Israelite heritage. And y'all know that the countdown and all men is on, because if the Sephardi groups is starting to infiltrate these blind Israelite groups here in captivity and start convincing them that they part of the Israelite heritage. And then you know how the Sephardi's administrative capabilities are to produce a history and so forth. It's easily, man, to connect themselves to us. You know what I'm saying? And it's over with for Ashkenazi when they do that. When the Sephardi start connecting themselves to the Israelites in the transatlantic slave trade, that's shutting the door on you, Ashkenazi, forever, forever, forever. If the Sephardi Jews start saying that we the Israelites in captivity, that's the end of you, Ashkenazi. That's the end. You'll never recover from that. And then they know who we are. If the Sephardists start saying that we the Israelites, which it look like they starting to trying to do, because I've been seeing a little information here and there, and it look like them individuals been studying the history that I put out, and now that they trying to slick connect the Sephardists to the transatlantic slave trade, making them suffer and saying that they us and we them and so forth. And then this what the individual that create their history don't know is they don't know who the Sephardists is how they get confused when they try to explain the history. They ain't, that's like this individual say that the Sephardic is dark skinned and how they done been taken into slavery and so forth, and not knowing that the Sephardic are the European branch of the Sephardics. Now they might have a little pigmentation. But this mostly Ashkenazi mixed with the Sephardic Jews. Created the Sephardic Jews. Ashkenazi mixing with the Sephardics created the Sephardic, and that they are not outright African, dark-skinned, pigmented peoples like this person trying to promote and stuff. You know what I'm saying? This right here. Man, we got to watch out for this type of stuff, Israelites, because if we let them folks in and be tricked by them, man, it's like being tricked all over. Me, even before we get out of captivity, we being tricked. Whereas they tricked us when we got out of captivity, leaving Egypt, the Gabonites or Amorites, and these the same folks. You know what I'm saying? That he trying to promote as Israelites. Look, the Sephardic Jews of Cape Verde exiled to the previously uninhabited island during the Spanish Inquisition. Look, he gonna say uninhibited. He gonna make sure he put that in there to try to make it seem like they dark-skinned from, you know what I'm saying, from the beginning. Man, it ain't no question that Sephardim got pigmentation because they come from Yemen. Yemen and went all over into Africa, and you can see branches of them with the Igabus and the Limbas. Those are branch off from the and the Ethiopian Jews are the ones from Yemen, Teman, that's Edom's inheritance, that they got their official conversion from John Hardicus in 130 BC when he forced converted all Edom. You know what I'm saying? So that's understood that they gonna have pigmentation, and then how they went all off into Africa and so forth. Well, this professor right here, now I be trying to show man, whenever I show this history, man, about Tony Martin, Dr. Tony Martin, he really giving Ashkenazi a pass. He giving Ashkenazi a pass because he solely blaming the transatlantic slave trade on the Sephardim, the Sephardics, who Lopez was. The Aaron Lopez, who come from Spain and to the Americas up in New York and had all them slave ships, most slave ships coming from Africa to the Americas. And then that's like another thing, man. Folks say, well, what happened to the slave ships? Man, you gotta be a stupid buffoon, man, to think that they didn't turn cargo ships into slave ships and then back into cargo ships again. You know, after slavery ended, what was they gonna do? Destroy a slave ship? Nah, they turned it, built panels and cabinets and start stocking other goods that they stocked before the transatlantic slave trade. So that's where your slave ships went to, for the stupid people that ask dumb questions and stuff like that. What happened to the slave ships? Well, the slave ships was turned back into merchant ships after slavery ended and stuff, and it became outlawed and stuff. That they turned their ships back into other ships that they can transport goods and so forth. But anyway, the Lopez, the Sephardims that come here to America and set this Babylonian system up, they caused slavery. And this professor outlined it, and he slick giving Ashkenazi a pass because he blaming it all on the Sephardims, man, that come down from Spain, and especially after they done discovered the Americas and stuff and seen this old vast land, and that they just come over here and got us. It's by prophecy that we was gonna get snatched up, and Almighty Yah even said that Moab, Ammon, and all them be the ones to enslave us in the book of Jeremiah. And it come to pass when them folks, the Sephardim, come down and got us in the Sahara and so forth. But let me go back to this individual and let's read this ruckus that Israelites are trying to create. Now, Israelites create confusion in the community and don't look at the importance, meaning that confusion, meaning that they done created and so forth, and that they think that they putting out some good, solid information, not knowing, meaning that they putting out information that's false and mislead. But like I say, this might be a Seb Hardy himself, man, posting this a lie right here. And then I'm gonna show y'all how they tricked us in the book of Joshua, the Amorites, and that's what the Seb Hardys are. This is what they are: Amorites, Sebharims, Sebharim, Seb Hardy, Sebhardic, and Sebharadim. They're Canites. You know what I'm saying? They Canites. And they was placed in our land in 722 BC. The most important ones that handled, man, they came on down. Basically, they seen us destroyed by the Egyptian religion. Seen us destroyed by the Egyptian religion. Man, they just come on off their high tower down and took over what we had. And then consumed our Israelite heritage, and then been promoting a Babylonian agenda, man, behind it the whole time. Cold folks, look, the Sephardic Jew of Cape Verde exiled to the previously uninhibited island of the Spanish Inquisition from Spain and Portugal. Talking about Judah awakened. And then look at these folks. He trying to make these people into the transatlantic slave trade. Now, these folks connected to the Sephardim, you know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna be none suffered the transatlantic slave trade and fulfill the curses like we have. You know, the curses outlined, and that these folks didn't go through it. They didn't go through it. So it's like saying that Almighty Yah word didn't come true, because it took 275 years to remove us from Africa. 275 years to remove us from Africa. And that how did these folks escape coming to the plantations here in the Americas, the strange land? How? Impossible. And then this is what this person say. Look, evil, man, this is pure evil. And we Israelites gonna have to be on guard against this type of evilness and stuff, because whenever you're trying to make them folks into Israelites, the folks that enslaved us, then that's a problem right there. The folks that enslaved us, that's a problem. These are the Jews of the island of Cape Verde. Notice the fringes in the head wraps coming to the photos of the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. Man, we couldn't wear nothing. Our folks was stripped naked and stuff. From the ship, from being captured all the way over here, they was naked and so forth. So we know he telling lies right there. Transatlantic slave trade, no matter what land they were in, how did they get there? Through slavery. Where are they from? Spain and Portugal. See, we already know that any folks claiming the Israelite heritage from Spain and Portugal gonna be the Edomite Sephardims that came from the Promised Land when their temple was burnt up in 70 AD, and how they took off and went to their old hangout spot. Now, they're not Israelites, and there's no way to make them part of the transatlantic slave trade and make them part of us. We are not the Sephardim. We are not the Sephardi. We are not the Sephardi. Now, man, it might be Israelites that mixed with them in captivity and so forth, you know, but the vast majority of us, but we talking about the great percentage of us. We are not them. They are not us. All right, and then look, where are they from? Spain, Portugal. Look, during the Spanish Inquisition, the Jews were exiled and forced into slavery and sent to the previously uninhabited island of Sao Tomo in Cape, and they were also exiled to West Africa and the Americas. Now, he's saying that the Sephardists enslaved their own people and sent them to the America. Is a bald-faced lie. Is a bald-faced lie that I can show you in Jewish sources, that if any Jew came to a slave market, man, and got to talking, telling them folks who they was, that they would free them, that they had money set aside, especially in Egypt and Alexandria, but that was throughout the whole Jewish community that if any of they folks get caught up in slavery, how they had a purse set to the side to redeem them. So we saying that ain't no Sephardists came to slavery because they had money to get their folks out, and they would have told their folks. They would have told their folks it don't make no sense that the Sephardists, the Sephardim who came in and enslaved us, enslaved their own people from Spain and then sent them to the Americas with us. Nah, man, they don't even get down like that. Them folks tight as many folks real tight with each other. We the only people on the face of the earth would do something like that, sell our own folks off, but they ain't did nothing like that. There's no recorded history of them folks dogging and selling their own folks out and sending them to the Americas. That's just some crap you making up here, man, you know what I'm saying, on this post. And what I'm saying, we Israelites got to be on the watch out for Israelites that try to promote this garbage. We got to put them in a place ASAP. We can't let this in the door. We can't let Israelites start to believe this type of garbage when we can nip it in the bud. And that's what I'm doing. I'm nipping this crap in the bud. Whenever Israelite come to y'all trying to promote the Sephardists in the Sephardim as being Israelites from the transatlantic slave trade, you need to tell them, get out of here with that crap. I ain't trying to hear them bull crap lies. And then explain that them folks was placed in our land in 722 BC. 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 24. And I'm going to show it in a few minutes. And then that's their origin. And that they was never Israelites. And then I can show in history that they were Amorites. Indeed, that they was Amorites in the book of Joshua. So, you know, this person trying to let the Amorites into our heritage before we even get out of slavery. Now, that's something that a Sephardi would do. Well, we got them when they come out of bondage in Egypt. Let's get them before they get out of bondage. It's how they think. And then that's where this type of stuff come from and stuff. Trying to put them folks in our heritage before we get free is a bad thing. And if any Israelite in the Israelite community trying to promote the Sephardists in them as Israelites, you getting cut off forever. We're going to cut you off forever. You can't never come into the Israelite Brotherhood heritage with that mess. Alright, look. Notice the islands were previously uninhabited. Whatever, there's some shit he done made, stuff he done made up. Well, what people went into slavery there and can be easily see this? Black people. See, when they start coming with that black stuff, you know, black this, black that, black this, then you know that they ain't nothing telling no truth and that they trying to promote a false agenda and stuff. You know what I'm saying? They got a false agenda trying to promote it and put lies on you and stuff. Whenever they start saying black this, black that, black this. See, black is universal. Man, it's pigmented folks all around the world. Don't make them Israelites. Don't make them Israelites. But when they start saying black, then they make them all inclusive, all part of us, and like we all one. When we ain't, when we the only dark-skinned people on the face of the earth to get dogged out. Like we've been getting dogged out, like the Tanakh say the Israelites will go through for breaking covenant. So, man, all black folks ain't suffering like we suffer. So when a person starts saying black, black this, black that, black this, man, you better be watching that individual because they ain't going to really know no truth because it's black folks all around the world. Don't make them us. Don't make them us. They ain't suffered what we suffer. Man, it's a black person up at the gas station right now, an Indian, darker than me and you, hate us, steal all our change when we come in the store. Still, I mean, if you don't count your change and argue for it, you is not getting it. You is not getting your change. Every day he leave with ain't no telling how much change from the community. And everybody go to that store. And he dark and this other dark-skinned Arabs. Everybody dark-skinned hate us in our community, man, from other lands and so forth. Man, you got folks from British Honduras, Man, they own all the tie shops. You gets nothing. You pay extra sometime when you come in there for a tire. And they black and got dark skin. So when a person starts saying black this, black that, you better be on the watch out for that stuff. Because it's black folks all around the world. Look at the Africans. They black. Man, they got a chokehold on the community. Is they helping us in our community? No, they extracting wealth out the community just like all the other black folks from around the world that hate us. So when y'all come with that old black crap, y'all, man, cast them to the side. We Israelites. We Israelites. And Israelites come in all the different degrees and shades of pigmentation. Like Almighty Yah said that his heritage is like a speckled bird. So we ain't gonna just focus on black as our color. And then we know black means death, destruction, and no good. Like what this person is up to. The black people, but history books, they say the Jews were exiled and such of them say put two and two together and you get black Jews. This why they call you Negro, the Spanish word for black people. Yeah, the Sebhardis gave us them names and so forth. You fool. Look, and look, fringes and black people in America, around the world, we are descended from the tree. Look, black people in America and around the world who are descended from the transatlantic slave trade. You are the tribe of Judah in the true biblical. See, he don't even know real history that all the Israelites ran into Africa, not just the tribe of Judah, all the Israelites, all the tribes, and how we was all driven into Africa, and how it never was no 10 lost tribe, but this person don't know that mess, man, and then promoting that stuff, and then when I look at his page, you don't see nothing but Yawasha, Jesus stuff. So, you know, a person like this don't know no truth. But at the same time, it's easier for our enemies to come in under the camps and portray to be a camp individual, because camps don't teach no truth, but they have a whole lot of following. A whole lot of people, a whole lot of Israelites follow the camps. So if one of them Sebhardis come in portraying to be a camp member and then, man, convince them that lie, and it's easy for them to believe the lie because they doctrine is off already. Believing in 10 lost tribes, 70 AD, demigods, and all of those stuff. So it's easy to convince the camp folks, who are the majority, that the Sebhardis are Israelites from the transatlantic slave trade. Man, that junk is crazy, man. That junk is crazy. We ain't gonna go for that mess. 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 Anybody, all the Israelites been following the Israelite Brotherhood know what time it is. And how we ain't gonna go for that. But this should be a wake-up call to Ashkenazi. And you know that Edom is infused in the Sephardim, the Sephardi. You play with this if you want to, because all they got to do is start, because they got pigmentation, and start saying that y'all is us. Y'all Israelites just like we are. And the door is open. And then once that door open, because they got pigmentation, that's finna cast you off forever, Ashkenazi. That's finna cast you off forever. So what y'all should do is come on and support the Israelite Brotherhood. And we way past a color issue. Y'all already know what the Israelite Brotherhood agenda is about: driving them Sebhardis out the promised land forever. Especially the ones that hold Jordan. You know what I'm saying? That's like I did a post, man, explaining to the Israelites who Jordan is and how Jordan is officially the Edomites. Now, we Israelites can't go make up folks and say these are Edomites. You know what I'm saying? Now, everybody in the camp, because they mad about what the Caucasians done did to us in slavery by Almighty Yahweh, and that how that they want to call them Edomites and so forth, and how that's false. That's false. And then I'm going to show you who they say Edom is, and it makes sense who Edom is, because Edom is gonna have some of our heritage. Edom is gonna have some of our heritage, and then they giving the Edomite Sephardim are giving these folks a pass, and then that's why come they got our heritage and got our land. We gonna see what this up. Yeah, man. The Jordanians. The Jordanians are the Edomites. Edom. Edom. Ancient land bordering ancient Israel and what is now southern, southwestern Jordan. And then guess what? Them the folks that got control of Jerusalem and got control of the promised land and protecting the other folks that's not Jewish in the promised land, like the Palestinians and the other Arabs. But if you type in who is Edom today, they gonna point and tell you off the flop, that is Jordan. But we know this Saudi Arabia, I'm saying, you put the E there, is Esau, you know what I'm saying? And we know that the English folks, the Babylonian scribes changed their names around to try to get them up out of the biblical heritage, thinking to conceal prophecies and so forth, thinking to conceal prophecies like we Israelites wasn't going to wake up to what's going on. You know what I'm saying? But listen, the Jordanians control Jerusalem. They got a large piece of Jerusalem and control some of the promised land. All right, they are officially Edom. Ain't none of you Israelites gonna change that. You can jump up and down and cry all you want to and try to say that the Edomites are the Europeans and so forth. That's not in scriptures. That's not in scriptures, because if you go in the scriptures, and then we're going to see what it say. We're going to see what the Tanakh say, because we trust the Tanakh, what it say over what you blind Israelites say. You Israelites that believe in demigods, we trust the Tanakh over what you say. You know what I'm saying? We trust the Tanakh over what you demigod worshippers say. All right, let's show this. If we go to the book of, it's got to be the book of Obadiah. Where is it? Where is it? Let's find. I usually just go straight to the books. Here it is. It's right in my hand. All right. If we read the book of Obadiah, and he telling you that Edom would have the promised land and be living in it, and how they took Jerusalem, how is it coincidence that Jordan, who is called Edom, got Jerusalem? You know, got a part of Jerusalem. So, you know, you Israelites looking for Edom in the wrong place. You know what I'm saying? You got to look for Edom in the Tanakh, and then the folks will tell you that they Edomites and point where they at. You know what I'm saying? Let's look and see what the Tanakh say about Edom. All right. This is in 853. Now this come to pass. This come to pass. This come to pass what the prophecy he talking about during the Babylonian wars, when Edom was part of the Babylonians were chasing us out the land, and they've been living in our land ever since then. Yeah, they done had wars, the Crusader Wars. Islam against Christianity ain't nothing but the Sephardim fighting Ashkenazi through religions and so forth. So they've been getting chased out. They come back, they get chased out. They come back. But Edom basically never lost the promised land, because Jordan always been there and always had they hands in the promised land. So the vision of Obadiah, this is in 853 BC. The vision of Obadiah, this said, the Elohim Yah concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Elohim, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, man, they show battling too. You know what I'm saying? All them little groups that's connected to the Edomites. Or, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thee in heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwelleth in the cliff of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and if you look, Jordan symbol is the eagle on a flag, as though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Elohim. If thieves come to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grasshoppers come to thee, would they not leave some grapes? Grape gatherers come to thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are things sought Esau searched out? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to thy border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee, that they ate thy bread and have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. You know what I'm saying? Man, them folks been getting tricked and thinking that they holding on to the land gonna be forever. Prophecy always come to pass. Almighty Yah words always come to pass. Shall I not in that day, saith the Elohim, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And then that's happening by us unveiling that the religion that them folks cling to it don't represent Almighty Yah on earth. You know, the three Abrahamic religions come off the Israelites breaking covenant, and then they was created. So they're false. All three of them. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam is false. So, you know, they come off the real Israelites breaking the covenant for Egyptian religion and then being driven off the land. And then the Babylonian Sephardists created the Babylonian version, man, of our heritage, being lodged in our heritage as Nethinims and so forth. I explain all this, man, in videos. All right. And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Forever. So they gonna try not to be cut off forever. Everybody connected to them job is to try not to be cut off forever by prophecy. But when we Israelites understand prophecy, it's gonna come to pass. It's gonna come to pass. It's gonna come to pass. Edom is not cut off. Edom still got a part of Jerusalem right now. Jordan, the documenting Edom on the world computer and in world literature, not what you Negroes say who Edom is, but what the Tanakh and world history say Edom is. They got control of Jerusalem. We know who Edom is. It ain't them Negro. You can't believe them Negroes standing out on corners, hooping and hollering and stuff, because they should be inside doing some research. All right, look. For the violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captives his forces, and foreigners entered into his gate and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them. Look, even thou was as one of them. Even thou was as one of them. They there now. They there now. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. Neither should thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither should thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. And Judah was our last holdings, because the northern kingdom have been driven out and had to go start going, west, meaning to Africa. Had to leave the promised land. Had to get up out the promised land because these folks right here was hot out fellas, and we ain't mad at Ashkenazi because he did what the Creator told the folks from the north, come down and got us out the land, like the book of Jeremiah said. The Creator sent for them. We ain't mad at them. We know why they there, but it ain't finna be no mystery why they there and how they got our heritage. That ain't finna be no mystery no more. That ain't finna be no mystery no more. And it ain't no mystery no more. And it can be explained easily how the Sephardims, the Sephardims are in the Israelite heritage. And I explain how they are Amorites, Ammonites, Edomites, Moabites, all them combined. That's where the word Semitic come from. Ashkenazi ain't Semitic. Don't let him trick you with that word. All right. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. Neither should thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither should thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yeah, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hand on their substance in the day of their calamity. That's when we was driven out during the Babylonian war. See, Israelites don't know that our end to the promised land came during the Babylonian wars, when we was driven into Africa. And then we went into Africa to worship the Egyptian religion. So you ain't gonna find no Israelites, no real Israelites, nowhere doing the covenant. So these folks right here is false. It ain't no real Israelites. For the simple reason, it is that the real Israelites, the real Israelites broke the covenant and went into Africa. So when they do come with the Sephardi pictures saying that they black and they part of the transatlantic slave trade, telling that lie, then you know what I'm saying, you already know. Because we didn't leave the covenant. We didn't leave the promised land to do the covenant in all these far off lands and so forth. That we didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? That we didn't do that. Probably don't look like took his page down. You know what I'm saying? Probably know I'm making a video about it. But anyway, we didn't do that. We didn't leave the promised land and say, oh, we finna go worship the covenant in all these lands, and we finna do the covenant in all these lands up off the promised land, and how it's finna be okay with Almighty Yah, mean to do the covenant that He gave us for the promised land, that how we just finna do it here in North America, in South America, in Europe, in China, and Russia. We finna do the covenant everywhere besides on the promised land. Now, if you read the Tanakh history, the Israelites couldn't do the covenant on the promised land. That's why we was driven off, because we never really did it. We never really did it. The majority of us, when we on Egyptian religion, we like party, drinking and partying. Drinking and partying is what we like. You know what I'm saying? And we was driven out the land into Egypt for doing just that. Drinking and partying and so forth. So, them folks can't never be Israelites. We ain't gonna let them be no Israelites. But look, all right, let me get back to this. All right. So we know Edom got in the land, and that Jerusalem, and that Jerusalem, and that Jerusalem is what the Edomites control right now. You know what I'm saying? They control Jerusalem right now. Ain't no question about that they control Jerusalem right now. Look, their affliction, let me see. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossing way to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of the Elohim is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return men upon thine own head. For as ye have drank men upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yeah, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance. You know what I'm saying? And there shall be holiness in the house of Jacob. You know what I'm saying? So but the thing is, Edom is southern Jordan. Southern Jordan. Southern Jordan. And they got the promised land right now. All you got to do is type it in. Do Edom have any control of the promised land? And it's going to show you that it do. You know, now let me show you about the Sephardims real quick. How them folks are not Israelites, but this is where they from. If you go to 2 Kings, let's go to 2 Kings. 2 Kings. Second Kings chapter 17 verse 24. I guess I turn right to it. Alright, now look, we see here. Alright, then this is where the Sephardic, the Sephardics come from. The main branch for the Sephardics and Sephardims mean that they done mix with some other folks. The Sephardic mostly mixed with the Europeans, and the Sephardim mostly got mixed with the Asians and Africans and Arabs and so forth. Mostly Arabs and Edomites, Moabites, Ammonites, all them. Alright. 2 Kings chapter 17 verse 24. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cuddar and from Abel and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel, and they possessed Samaria and dwelt therein. And them Amorites, all the folks that come from Babylon back in the days was Amorites placed in our land. And then when we come out of Egypt in the book of Joshua, let me see if I can. Man, them folks got into our heritage soon as we got out of Egypt, man. We wasn't free, man, and them type of folks, man, but we wasn't free coming out of Egypt, man, from all them folks, man, for 30 years, man, and then them folks got in our heritage. These folks right here, and they tricked us. Like they trying to trick us now. They had them Israelites saying that they part of the transatlantic slave trade with no history. They might go try to produce some, but it ain't gonna work. We ain't going. We ain't feeling them. Look, this Joshua 9, and it come to pass when all the kings which were on this side of Jordan, look, on the side of Jordan, that's them Edomites, in the hills and in the valleys, and look, the Amorites had it back then, and then Edom got it, and they all fused together, and that's what created the Sephardim. All right, Jordan in the hills and in the valleys, and in all the coasts on the Great Sea, over against Lebanon, the Hittite, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites heard thereof, that they gathered themselves together to fight with Joshua and with Israel with one accord. And when the inhabitants of Gabon heard what Joshua had done unto Jericho, you know what I'm saying? What is, man, they put some old clothes on, they got some old wine bottles, and then they fell up on us and say, hey, we've been traveling from a far place. We heard about y'all, and we just want to be y'all servants and so forth. And then we made a promise to Almighty God that we wouldn't do nothing to them, and come to find out that they was real close to us. They was real close to us, and then we made them servants for whatever temple or whatever congregation that we got, that we would make them carriers of the wood and do the laborious stuff, right? Worst thing we could have ever did. These are Amorites. These are Amorites, and that's the worst thing we could have ever did. And let's show men that these Amorites. Y'all can read this story, Joshua 9. Men, if you go to 2 Samuel 21, I think. I almost turned to it. That's a blessing. Man, that's straight. I like when that happens. 2 Samuel 21. And then you read about, you know what I'm saying, what King David did, you know what I'm saying, to some folks in the Amorites, the Gibeonites. Saul killed some of them, and we weren't supposed to kill them because they tricked us under Almighty Yah name. And then Saul got rid of some of them, but it had to be some blood played for that, because Saul had did that under Almighty Yah name after we made an agreement that we wouldn't kill them, but make them servants in the temples and so forth. And guess what? When we got kicked out the land, they were still there with our heritage that they learned from us. And those are the seven-hearted Jews today. Look, and the king called the Gibeonites. Look, and the king called the Gibeonites and said unto them, now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel, but of the remain of the Amorites. You see what I'm saying? The remain of the Amorites. So those folks was in our heritage pretending to be Israelites, that we had to make a distinction back then. King David and them had to make a distinction back then. Hey, y'all, these folks ain't us. Because remember, they've been in our heritage ever since Joshua days. They've been in our heritage ever since Joshua days, as I just showed how the Ammonites fell up on us, talking about that they had old bottles and old bread and come from a long place, and then how did they need to serve us? And man, that's the worst thing we ever did, because when we was driven out the land, that these folks got our heritage, and that they do have some pigmentation. Different degrees of it. It depends on if it's the Sephardic or if it's the Sephardim. They got pigmentation. You see what I'm saying? And then for us to go say that they Israelites, knowing that they behind the transatlantic slave trade as documented by Professor Tony Martin. You know what I'm saying? He died, man. After he made that, he gone. But he showed that them folks did this to us, the slavery, and then how that individual trying to make them into Israelites and so forth. Ashkenazi, this need to be a wake up, man, for y'all, that y'all ain't got long. Y'all ain't got long, man, before y'all try to do something Ashkenazi and try to bring us into our heritage. Because if you don't, the Sephardists, who y'all ain't got no control of, you know what I'm saying? Y'all might dominate them, but you can't control their underhandedness. And then they start convincing the Israelite community that we are one and the same. Then that's finna cash y'all off forever, Ashkenazi. Because if the step hard and start saying we Israelites, and that they from the transatlantic slave trade, then it's over with, Ashkenazi. So man, it's a race to see who gonna free us. You know what I'm saying? I would prefer Ashkenazi freeing us, cause then we can cash the Edomites out forever, like the Tanakh say. Like the Tanakh say, Ashkenazi can easily help us cash the Tanakh, cash the Edomites out, like the Tanakh say, and then they can live in peace. Man, we're gonna tell the other folks they got to stop the bombs. There's a whole lot of benefits with us Israelites coming back to the promised land. It's a whole lot of benefits. Man, it's billions to be made. I don't know what they waiting on. They gonna wait till destruction set in on them. But Almighty Yah say we're going back to the promised land. So ain't no question about that. All right, this is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. You Israelites got to be on guard, man, against them Israelites that is trying to make the Sephardic groups into Israelites. It's the same as what they did to us when we come out of Egypt, the Gibeonites, and how they got into our heritage. Well, they trying to get in our heritage before we get free. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood.